Hey everybody, Joe from Britical Saiyans here, and today we're going into the Zen-Oh deck profile. We're going to throw a disclaimer. I have been a naughty trend follower and have done Zen-Oh maidens, despite promising some originality. It's a little bit original. There's a couple cards that are original to me, but that's because I want them in there. I'll explain them as I go along, if I remember right as well. Because a lot of these deck profiles are totally one thing. I kind of just worked it out and then realised I basically copied most of them. And I'm like, oh, okay. So anywho, let's get started. So obviously, as you can see, Zen-Oh has a lot of text. It's very important text as well. So he has two permanents. One, you can't include cards. Well, you can't include cards in your deck that don't have universe as part of their special trait. So they must have universe on their text in some form of manner. You can also treat all cards with universe as if they had no specified cost in all areas. So basically standard like Warriors, Universe 7, blah 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 blah. But so you can use every universe, otherwise then it'd be pretty stumped. He has the auto ability of when this card attacks a lead card, place up to 2 cards from the top of your deck into drop. If you do, well, then draw a card. So there's a fair bit of mill involved in this deck, but you can do like 1 card then draw, 2 cards then draw. However much you want to, you can just do like no cards then draw. And if your life set 4 less, you switch to energy to active and awaken him into the double Zen-Oh. So you got Zen-Oh, Rule of the Universe, which, you know, kind of contradictory because what the character is not really the universe of the universe, rule of every universe. Anyway, I'm sidetracking here. So again, treat all cards with universe as if they had no specified costs. His auto is pretty much the same on both sides, only this time he can attack anything and still mill 2 to draw. Like mill 2, draw 1. And he has the active main of once per turn, choose 10 cards in your drop area and send them to the warp. This is why we have the mill. Your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and places them in the drop area. Not hugely impressive, but pretty useful if you time it right. And obviously that's why we have some milling involved. So going into the deck, we have the only extra card we're allowed in this deck, because it has Universe, which is 4 copies of Universe 7 Representative, which counts as Universe 7 in all areas. And in the active main, you can look up to 7 cards from the top of the deck, choose Universe 7, add to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So you can either find out another one of these, or you can find your negate for the deck. Which, again, there's 4 of. There's a lot of 4s in this deck, you gotta be aware. It's 4 copies of Master Roshi Forged of Will, who's our 1-drop 5k negate, and then play him. So obviously using Universe 7 Rep to find him, because if you mill Roshi, you're down the negate, there's no alternative ones, it's literally just Roshi as your negate. So you want to kind of find those before anything else really. And we have 4 copies of Zabuto, Maiden Attendant. So this guy is the 1-drop 5k that when you play him, you can look at 3 cards from the top of your deck and add a Universe 2 to hand. Then shuffle the deck. So that's basically all your maidens, is your prime targets for that. Going into 2-drops, we have 4 copies of our Super Combo for a deck. Elegant Assistant Heelys. So she's the only super combo we can run in the deck as well. Because when you combo with this card, if your leader is a God or Universe 2 and your life is at 4 or less, you may place cards from your hand to drop. If you do so, draw 2 and she gains 10,000 combo power for the duration of turn. So obviously it applies to Zen-Oh because he is a God. But it can just work in God decks and Universe 2. But unfortunately she's the only one we can use in this deck. She does dump a card, but you get 2, so you can get something really good. And also you fill up your drop. So that's why we run her. We have 4 copies of the Girl Warrior Briand de Chateau. I hope I'm pronouncing this right, it's French. So, so 2-drop 10k has barrier, and the auto ability of when you play this card, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 maiden squadron among them, add them to your hand, and shuffle. So, whether that be her Volves or Rosie and Kakunsa, very useful card, and your first evolution target. Next, we have 4 copies of Rabana, Maiden Attendant. So it's a 5k blocker that has the permanent skill, if there is Universe 2 in your battle area, you can play this card from your hand without paying its cost. So with the deck majority being Universe 2, it just comes out as a free blocker, and it's basically one of our other ways of stopping attacks besides Roshi. Going to the 3 drops, we have 4 copies of Indiscriminate Obliteration Cedra. So this is one card I personally tacked in. So it's a 3-drop 15k, he has blocker, and he has the auto ability of when you play this card, you may choose 1 card in your life and add to your hand, so Self-Awakening. If you do so, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy costs equal to or less than your energy cost and KO it. Well, your energy and KO it. So play this at a good time, you can just pop something. There's still a few things you can target on free energy, but you can wait them out. The great thing about Zen-Oh is that you don't need Self-Awaken to play a deck, it pretty much plays itself, and Cedra's just there, a nice little way for you to add cards, Awaken if you want to, because Zen-Oh is also our only way of untapping energy. And it's just a little tech I put in because I like Self-Awakening, if I can help it. And next we have 4 copies of Teleporting Jamise. So this guy is another card that you really need in the deck just to make things easier on yourself. It has the permanent ability of reduce the energy costs of maiden squadrons in your hand by 2, but you must pay specified costs. So, for example, the Ribrian, this one becomes a 1-drop. The other ones are like 4 and 5 drops, so they become much cheaper. And he has the active main of place 1 card from your hand into drop, send this to the warp, and play it from its owner's warp into the battle area at the beginning of your next turn. So you can use him to play stuff out, attack with him, then send him to the warp, which means that next turn he's still there and you still get cheap maidens. But that's why you need the 4, because like a lot of the stuff that's at 4 because you can mill it, and you don't want to mill it obviously. So going into 4 drops, we have 3 copies of Clownless Destruction Bell mod. So there is a 4-drop 20k, he has barrier and double strike, and the auto ability of when you play this card, look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 card among them, add it to your hand, then place the rest in your drop. If you choose to not add any cards to your hand, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and rest mode and KO it. So a little tech I put in at 3, because obviously you can add cards that you need to your hand, you can just put 3 in and kill something, which obviously helps with Zen-Oh's ability to remove 10, so that's like a third of the cost paid already. If there's a card you need, you add it. He's also just a good throwaway card, which is why he's at 3, he's not essential, but it's just nice to have. So there we go. So going into the 4 drops, we have 4 copies of Maiden Squadron Kakunsa. So she's a 4-drop 20k and critical, so obviously crit pressure. And she also has the permanent of if Ribrian and Rosie are playing your battle area, this card gains dual attack. So you can just be like 20 crit, 20 crit, which is 2 cards gone from their life straight to drop if you do it right. If you could, oh no you can't. If you could take Enchant, but that'd be nice because then it could be like a double critical twice in a turn, but he's not using a 6, so just deal with dealing 1 crit to them. And of course, thanks to Jamise, she comes out for 2 green. And a lot of the like range squadrons require all 3 on the board, so you need 4 of her as well as the others. Speaking of which, we have 4 copies of Main Squadron Rosie. So she's a 4-drop 20k, just like Kakunsa. She has blocker, so obviously she's the strongest blocker in the deck. And at the end of your turn, if you have Ribian and Kakunsa in play in your battle area, switch this card to active mode. So make sure you've got the others out. It means on 4 you could just pay all 4 to play a Kakunsa and Rosie. If you've already got Ribian out, that's great because it should be like 20. Oh, stand back up. My other one's a crit. So, but again, a must have at 4. So, going into the 5 drops, we have 4 copies of Main Squadron Leader Ribian. So, this is like one of the big guns of the deck. It's not the big gun, it's what leads into it. So, 5 drop 25k power. It evolves with 3 energy onto a Brian, has barrier, and it has 2 auto abilities. So the first one is when the card evolves into this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So just like an instant kill on evolution, which is your main goal. And secondary also is when this card attacks, if Kakunsa and Rosie are in play in your battle area, choose up to 2 cards from your opponent's hand and place them in the drop. So, like I said, for these 3, you need them on the board, so that's why you run 4. Just make sure you can activate all those abilities. She can make your opponent discard 2, this one can make your opponent lose 2, and this is just a nice little attacking blocker. And finally, in the deck, we have 3 copies of our lovely 7-drop Ribian Transformation Complete. So this is our like big gun of the deck. Run 3 of it because it can be difficult to get into, and having 4 might clump the deck a little, but all down to personal choice really. So it's an EX evolve for 1 green onto Ribian with energy cost of 5 or more, so onto this. Which means potentially on 4 energy you can just do these in the same turn, but you will tap out once you can self-awaken. She has double strike, which part as well for 30k. And again she has 2 auto abilities. So the first one, when you play this card with Evolve by placing it on top of Main Squadron Leader Ribian, so when you evolve on top of this one, you may switch this card to active mode. So after you attack this, if you can trigger its auto ability, great. If not, it's just 25k. And then evolve into this one. Secondary auto is when this card attacks, choose 2 cards in your opponent's hand and place them in their drop. So it skips the whole needing Rosie, Rosie and Kakunsa. It just goes straight to throwing stuff in the drop. It's auto, so even if they negate it, it still happens. It's good if they don't negate it, because you start off with 30k and you're like, cool, I'm getting rid of 2. I'm coming at the leader potentially, so that's a lot for them to try and stop without any card, like with 2 less cards. If you play it right, you can just take away their hand and just guarantee that this will hit. So that's why this is such a good combo. It's why Zen-Oh is quite a popular build, because none of it's really restricted by the leader as well. So it doesn't matter what leader you really play with, you just gotta make sure it goes right. So that being done, that is my Zen-Oh deck profile. So thank you all for watching. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments, we'd like to read those, and we will see you next time. Bye.